Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivanandari Gopijana Vallabha Girivanandari Yasodanandana Bhajana Ranjanaya Yasodanandana Bhajana Ranjanaya Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivanandari Gopijana Vallabha Girivanandari Yasodanandana Bhajana Ranjanaya Yasodanandana Bhajana Ranjanaya Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachariya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsara Jakacharya Asatya Srishi Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananda Gaudiya Vaishnava Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Premji Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavanam Ki Jai. Shri Maya Purnavidam Ki Jai. Ganga Maya Ki Jai. Jamuna Maya Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Go Premanandi. All glorious Sema devotees. All glorious Sema devotees. All glorious Sema devotees. All glorious to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. A little yoga.
Bhakti yoga.
Bhakti yoga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this morning we're reading from the Srimad Bhagvatam, Canto 9, Chapter 14, King Pururava, enchanted by Urvasi. Text number 21. Etau Aranakau Rajan Nyasau Rakshasa Manada Sangrangsye Bhavata Sakam Slagya Strinam Vara Smritaha Etavara Nakaurajan Nyasau Rakshavamanada Sangrangsye Bhavata Sakam Slagya Strinam Varasmataha Etavu Ranakaurajan Nyasau Rakshava Sangrangsye Bhavata Sakam Slagya Strinam Varasmataha Etavu Ranakaurajan Nyasa Rakshavamanada Sangrangsye Bhavata Sakam Slagya Strinam Varasmataha Mataji's. Etau, to these two, Ornakau, lambs, Rajan, O King Puruva, Nyasau, who have fallen down, Rakshasva, please give protection, Manada, O one who gives all honor to a guest or visitor, Sangrangsye, I shall enjoy sexual union, Bhavata, Sakam, in your company, Slagya, superior, Strinam, of a woman, Vara, husband, Smritaha, it is said. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. My dear King Pururava, please give protection to these two lambs who have fallen down with me. Although I belong to the heavenly planets and you belong to earth, I shall certainly enjoy sexual union with you. I have no objection to accepting you as my husband, for you are superior in every respect. Translation. As stated in the Brahma Samhita 540, Yasya Prabhapavto Jagananda Kotis Susesa Vadadhari Vibhuti Bhinam. There are various planets and various atmospheres within this universe. The atmosphere of the heavenly planets from which Urvasi descended after being cursed by Mitra and Varuna was different from the atmosphere of this earth. Indeed, the inhabitants of the heavenly planets are certainly far superior to the inhabitants of earth. Nonetheless, Urvasi agreed to remain the consort of Pururava, although she belonged to a superior community. A woman who finds a man with superior qualities may accept such a man as her husband. Similarly, if a man finds a woman who is from an inferior family but who has good qualities, he can accept such a brilliant wife. As advised by Chanakya Pandit, Sri Ratnang Dushkalad Api. The combination of male and female is worthwhile if the qualities of both are on an equal level. So, there's not much I can say about this verse or purport, so we're going to go on to the next verse. This is text 22. Gatam me vira baksyang syang nexye dvan yatra maitunad viva sasang teti patipede mahatmanaha. Translation. Urvasi said, my dear hero, only preparations made in ghee, clarified butter, will be my eatables. And I shall not want to see you naked at any time, except at the time of sexual intercourse. The great-minded King Pururava accepted these proposals. Text 23. Pururava replied, O beautiful one, your beauty is wonderful, and your gestures are also wonderful. Indeed, you are attractive to all human society. Therefore, since you have come of your own accord from the heavenly planets, who on earth would not agree to serve a demigoddess such as you? Purport. It appears from the words of Urvasi that the standard of living, eating, behavior, and speech are all different on the heavenly planets than the standards on this planet Earth. The inhabitants of the heavenly planets do not eat such abominable things as meat and eggs. Everything they eat is prepared in clarified butter. Nor do they like to see either men or women naked, except at the time of sexual intercourse. To live naked or almost naked is uncivilized, but on this planet Earth, it has now become fashionable to dress half naked, and sometimes those like hippies live completely naked. Indeed, there are many clubs and societies for this purpose. Such conduct is not allowed, however, on the heavenly planets. The inhabitants of the heavenly planets, aside from being very beautiful, both in complexion and bodily features, are well-behaved and long-living, and they eat first-class food in goodness. These are some of the distinctions between the inhabitants of the heavenly planets and the inhabitants on earth. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshum Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Mukam Uttavachalam Pangun Langhayate Gurim Yat Kripa Taraham Bande Shiram Dinataranam Vanchakapatubhyascha Kripa Sinudrevacha Paritanam Bhavanevyo Vaisnavevyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Here in the purport, Srila Prabhupada, he says that in the heavenly planets, the inhabitants, they are much more civilized than what we find here on this earth planet. For instance, there, everyone is vegetarian. There's no slaughterhouses in the heavenly planets. Everyone is vegetarian. Because they know the desires of God. And what does Krishna say? Patram pushram param toyam yame bhakta payasti tadaham bhakti parasnam asnami prayatatmana. He says, if someone offers to me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, fruit, or water, I'll accept it. Actually, Prabhupada said, we're not vegetarians, we're prasad-arians. If Krishna asked for meat, we would offer meat. But Krishna is vegetarian. God is also vegetarian, so he doesn't eat meat. Therefore, we don't eat meat. So we try to base our lives around the desires of Krishna, whatever Krishna wants. So Krishna, he's vegetarian, so we offer only things that are a leaf, a flower, fruit, vegetables, these things. But the most important thing when we make an offering to Krishna is what? Love. Yes. Devotion. Twice in this verse. Patram pusham phalam toyam yame bhaktya. Bhaktya means devotion. So the most important thing when we offer something to Krishna is devotion. And everything that we do for Krishna, it should be done with devotion. Generally in this world, which is another distinction, people do things for themselves, not for God. So the human form of life is meant to serve God, to put Krishna in the center of our life, to become selfless, just acting for God, for the pleasure of God. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was asked by one of his householder devotees. He said, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm finding that the brahmacharis here in the mat, they're not making the advancement that I would assume they would make. Living here in the mat, in the ashram. Am I wrong? He said, no, you're right. And it's because of two internal worms. Oh, what's that? And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he said, if you have worms in your body, you can't digest your food properly. Right? So he said these two worms are subtle. One, selfishness. If someone is selfish, then it's difficult to practice Krishna consciousness. And the other, he said, is secret bad habits. Secret bad habits and selfishness. He said, because of these two internal worms, they're not able to digest Krishna consciousness properly. So to be selfless is not an easy thing. It's a big challenge. Because we're conditioned to thinking that we're this body. And this was the problem here with Pururava. He was thinking that he was the body. And he was thinking that Urvasi was also her body. And therefore he became very attractive. But she wasn't her body, nor is he his body. But they're both the soul within. Because they were thinking that they were the body, they became selfish, trying to satisfy the desires of the body. But no. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Avartam Jnanam Etina Jnanino Nitivarna Kamarupena Kaunteya Duspra Nalena Cha. He says, the wise living entity is pure consciousness, is covered by his eternal enemy in the form of lust, which is never satisfied and burns like fire. So because of this bodily conception of life, people become mad. They become mad after sense gratification, specifically the sex desire. I don't know how it is here, but in America it's like something like unbelievable amount of women are raped by men. They lose control and just attack a woman and have sex with her. All over the world, everywhere it happens. Out of control. Mad, become mad after sense gratification, when one thinks that's the goal of life. Nunam pramata krute vikaram, yet indriya prita aparnoti. That when one thinks that the goal of life is sense gratification, one becomes mad after such sense gratification, engages in all kinds of sinful activities. Rishabdev goes on to say, therefore I think it not befitting for a person to again engage in these activities of sense gratification, which is also there for the animals. But they should engage in austerity. And by austerity, for the pleasure of Krishna, then we achieve Brahmasokyam Tvanantam, which means spiritual happiness. Here, King Pururava, he's trying to get this material pleasure. But as we're going to see, as the story goes on, he becomes very frustrated. Very frustrated. He's suffering like anything. And this is the result of material sense gratification. We become disappointed. So disappointed. But if we surrender to Krishna, you'll never be disappointed. No one has ever been disappointed that fully surrendered to Krishna. And no one has ever been fully satisfied by surrendering to our senses. It doesn't happen. And it won't happen. Why? Because matter and spirit are incompatible. They don't mix. Just like oil and water, they don't mix. So no matter what type of arrangement we make, it's not going to work. So many people are just constantly making adjustments. Well, let me adjust this. It didn't work over there. Well, let me adjust it and get it to go work this way. But no, it doesn't matter how many adjustments you make. It's not going to work. So Krishna, he gives the guideline on how to get it work. The Bhagavad Gita, the Srimad Bhagvatam, these are guidelines for the human form of life. How to achieve satisfaction. How to be happy. What does he say? Manmana bhava madmakto majaji mam namaskara mamivaishyasi satyante pratijane priyosai. This is the key. Always think of me. We got to think of something. We're always thinking of something. Just like sometimes these meditators, their goal is to become free of thoughts, to stop thoughts. It's not going to happen. Because that is also a thought. They're thinking, let me stop a thought, let me stop. No, there comes a thought, no, stop that. But that's also a thought. Trying to stop thoughts is a thought. You can't stop thoughts. Can't stop it. One devotee was telling me that they have this meditation retreat up in the Blue Mountains, and you go up there and you're silent for 10 days. You don't speak for 10 days. Boy, that'd be a tough one, huh? So there's one meditator up there. After 7 days, he couldn't control himself, so he started talking to one monk. And the monk said, "Sorry, you have to leave." "Oh no, I'm sorry, I won't do it again." No, sorry, you blew it. You're out." It's so ridiculous, yeah. Actually, there was one instance where the Prabhupada was in India, and they were visiting one city, and devotees told Prabhupada about this one yogi. He's taken the vow of maunam. Maunam means to not speak, so he hadn't spoken for 25 years. And Prabhupada said, it's very good that he hasn't spoken for 25 years. And all these yogis, they should take this vow, because when they do speak, they speak all nonsense. Yeah? So for some it's good. Actually, the karmis also actually be good for them all to just don't talk. Yeah? So like so many people yesterday, I was on book distribution yesterday, and so many people were speaking so much nonsense. I was thinking, boy, it'd be nice if these guys could accept that vow of monam, because people just speak all nonsense. You just got to get away from them. So prajapa, nonsense talking is a problem in the material world. So much nonsense. So Prabhupada said that we take the vow of maunam. If you only speak of Krishna, that's also maunam. To not speak nonsense is also maunam. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains the austerity of speech. Anudvegam krang vakyam satyam priyam hitang chat swabhyam yasanam vanmayam tapushyate. That the first one is to not speak that which is agitating to others. Sometimes that's an austerity. Someone says something to you, and you want to counter that, say something that agitates him, right? And therefore there's a lot of violence because people lose control of their speech. So to control anger, and anger comes out of the mouth, speaking. Where else does it come out of? Anger comes out of the feet. Sometimes you get someone agitates and you kick them. Actually, this happened on Sankirtan one time. A book distributor, he met one man, the man started blaspheming Krishna, so he kicked him. He had to go to court. It was a whole thing, And also, anger comes out of the fists. Yeah? So the hands, the feet, the voice. Yeah? So we have to control this anger. Actually, throughout the world, they have this anger management. Right? People become so angry, they just lose control. The man will beat his wife, and now women are beating their husbands also. That's another problem. The men know, if I beat her, I'm going to hurt her. And she knows he thinks that, so she beats him. So that's another problem that's come up. So, anger management. How to control anger. So anger is controlled by serving Krishna. One becomes shanti. Shanti means peaceful. By serving Krishna, we become very peaceful. And we tolerate. And when a devotee has some reversal, like somebody speaks to him in a vulgar way, in a disturbing way, he doesn't become agitated. He thinks this person is speaking to me in this way to correct me. He accepts it as the mercy of Krishna. Doesn't get angry. Krishna is speaking through this person to correct me. He accepts it as Krishna. And there was one secretary of a king who was very advanced. And whatever would happen, he would say, "Oh, Krishna's mercy. Krishna's mercy." And it kind of started getting under the skin of the king. You know, this guy, everything that happens is Krishna's mercy. And then somehow the king, he was, you know, he's a kshatriya, so one time he was sharpening his arrow and he cut his thumb really bad. And when the secretary heard, he said, "Oh, Krishna's mercy." And the king thought, this guy's crazy. This guy's nuts. So he told his guards, put him in jail, you know, see if he thinks that's Krishna's mercy. So sure enough, the secretary said, "Oh, Krishna's mercy." And the king really thought, man, this guy's like bonkers, you know. So then after some time, the king, he wanted to go hunting. But usually he would just go with his secretary. But his secretary was in jail. So he said, "Oh, I'll just go by myself." So he went out hunting. And he got caught by these dacoits. And these dacoits, they captured him. They were thinking, wow, this is going to be a good offering, because they were worshiping Durga. And you know, sometimes they make human sacrifices to goddess Durga. So these dacoits, they did things like that. So they thought, wow, we got a king. Durga's going to be so pleased. Now we're going to get so much in return. Yeah. So they put him up there, they tied him up there, just getting ready to make a human sacrifice. And they saw that he had a major wound in his thumb. So they thought, shoot, we can't offer him. It's an imperfect offering. We can't. Just like here, the offering has to be very nice for the deities, otherwise. So they're also thinking, it's got to be a perfect body, no cuts, no wounds. Untie him, get him out of here. Yeah, nonsense. Yeah. So they untied him, kicked him out. So he's running through the forest. It was Krishna's mercy. It was Krishna's mercy. He was right. It was Krishna's mercy. So he's running and he's running. He runs back to the kingdom, and he goes right to the secretary in jail. He says, and he was so excited. "You were right. It was Krishna's mercy. I went hunting and I got caught by these dacoits, and they were going to make a human sacrifice, and because I had this cut, they didn't sacrifice me. I'm still alive." And the secretary said, "You see? When are you going to learn? Everything is Krishna's mercy. You have to learn this." I said, yeah, you're right. Hopefully I'll learn sometime. But then the king said, "Well, why was it Krishna's mercy that you're in jail? It's not nice to be in jail. Why is that Krishna's mercy?" And the secretary said to the king, "I don't have any wounds. I would have been the sacrifice." Yeah. So Krishna's mercy, right? Yeah, Krishna's mercy. So a devotee sees like that. Everything is Krishna's mercy. In this way, he goes on serving Krishna very peacefully. No anxiety, Vaikuntha. Yeah. Even Prabhupada was at one preaching program in Canada. And he was preaching, there was an open meeting. People were coming from places around the city, Toronto there. And it was maybe half devotees and half non-devotees. Then one Indian man, he stood up and he started criticizing Prabhupada. "Why have you come here to this Christian country and you're speaking this, why are you coming here and doing like this? Yeah. We have religion here, they have religion here. Why are you coming?" And devotees were just like furious, like they were ready to pull him down and So Prabhupada, he answered nicely, no. Anybody wants to participate in this Krishna consciousness, we're welcome. And we're offering. If someone wants to accept, nice. If not, that's okay. We're not forcing anyone. So Prabhupada spoke very nicely. But the devotees were still very upset. And afterwards, the devotees, they were speaking to Prabhupada, and they apologized to Prabhupada that this person, he made such a horrible commotion there in the program. And Prabhupada said, "No, I must have did something to him in my past life, and therefore he's come and he's speaking to me in this way, disturbing. So immediately Prabhupada didn't get agitated, didn't get disturbed. And therefore there's a statement which Prabhupada says in the Nectar Devotion is the guide for all devotees. This verse that I'm going to speak, Prabhupada said, is the guide for all devotees of Krishna. Tattena kampam susamik samano bunjana evame kritam vipakam hridbhag purvirvidham namaste jiveta yomukti pade sadoyamak. This is Lord Brahma. Just like here, we're seeing how King Pururava, he became bewildered by this Urvasi. So even great devotees also become bewildered. Lord Brahma, when he saw that Krishna had done so many amazing things and people were saying how Krishna, he's God, and he wanted to test Krishna. So what did Lord Brahma do? He took away all the cowherd boys and all the calves to see what Krishna is going to do. So what happened was the cowherd boys were eating lunch and they saw the calves had all gone off and they were getting grass from other areas. So they were going to get up and get the calves, and Krishna said, no, don't disturb yourself. Go ahead, continue eating. See how kind Krishna is? He told the cowherd boys, no, it's okay. Continue eating. Don't disturb yourself. I'll take care of it. Krishna's so kind. So then Krishna went out to get the calves. Couldn't find them. Came back. The boys were all gone. And then Krishna, he is omniscient. He knows everything. Vedaham samatityani vartamanani charjana bhavishyami chabutani mamta vedana kashana. Krishna knows all that's happened in the past, all that's happening now, and all that's happening in the future. So this is Krishna. So we knew, Brahma, he's trying to play he's playing some trick. So what did Krishna do? He manifested all the cowherd boys and all the calves. And all the cowherd boys had the exact characteristics of the boys that had been taken away by Lord Brahma. So one might ask, well, how is that possible? Because Krishna is in the heart, and he knew each of their characteristics, each of their likes and dislikes, everything. He knows everything about us also. He knows us better than we know ourselves. That's Krishna. So he manifested all these cowherd boys and all the calves as if nothing had happened. So then Lord Brahma, he had been away for just a short time because he knew he could be playing with fire. It could be the real thing, it could be Krishna. So he came back and all the cowherd boys are still there. They're still there, and the calves are still there. And how is this? So he went back. He had put them in some slumber, some sleeping slumber. So he went back and they were still there. And then he thought, uh-oh, I'm in trouble now. So he went back to earth and he started offering prayers to Krishna. And this verse that I quoted to you is one of those prayers. And in this prayer he says to Krishna, which is, remember, this is the guide for all devotees, so listen carefully. He says to Krishna, always seeking your compassion, thus tolerating all difficulties as being due to his own past activities, and always serving you with his mind, body, and words, such a devotee is eligible to inherit the kingdom of God. Nice, huh? In this world, there's always reversals. It's just the nature of this world. Why? Because it's dukkhalayam asasvatam. It's a place of suffering. So there's always going to be some reversal. So a devotee has to learn to tolerate. Yeah. And Prabhupada says in one purport that better to tolerate than to protest. Sometimes when there's a reversal, we protest. Just like Prabhupada used to say how in Germany there was this war, this world war, right? And the women, the mothers and the daughters, they were all praying to God, please send back our son, please allow our son, our husbands to not get harmed, please send them back. They didn't come back. So they became atheists. That was their protest. Oh, you didn't do as we prayed for? Then we don't believe in you. Yeah. So, but actually, nothing happens without the sanction of God. Yeah. And sometimes people say, well, how is it that God allowed those 6 million Jews to be killed? You know, how is that possible? Yeah. Why did God allow that to happen? You see, for God, it's not a big thing for 6 million people to be gathered that deserve to be punished in that particular way. Because you have to look at the whole picture. There's universes, there's millions of universes. There's not just this universe, not just this planet. So Krishna, he's very expert at arranging things by which people get exactly what they deserve. There's no accidents. And there's no such thing as an accident. So Krishna arranged those 6 million people to receive that particular punishment that they deserve due to past life. And by the way, those 6 million Jews weren't killed because no one dies, right? No one dies, right? So this is the nature of the soul. But they deserve that particular punishment for something they did in the past. And whatever we get, we deserve it. And a devotee thinks that whatever happens, he thinks, actually, I deserve much worse. But Krishna is so kind, he's minimized the suffering. And in relation to that, this there was instances, Prabhupada mentions here, how in uncivilized places, people they dress. In heaven, they're always dressed, and the man doesn't want to see the woman doesn't want to see the man naked. But there was an instance, Nala Kuvera and Manigriva, in heaven, where they were naked, and the women were naked, and they were intoxicated. And Narada Muni was going by, and as soon as the women saw him, they thought, oh, we better cover ourselves or we're going to get cursed. But Nala Kuvera and Manigriva, they were so intoxicated, they didn't even bother covering themselves upon seeing Narada Muni. So they were cursed to become what? Trees. You want to be naked? All right? Trees. You could live naked your whole life. Yeah. And no one will complain. Twin Arjun trees. So they were trees for a long time, like 100 years, right? 100 years, just standing there. That'd be a pretty heavy punishment, you know. Just like imagine if I told you to just stand in the corner for the rest of your life, you know. Boy, that'd be a major punishment, right? So they're 100 years standing there. But by the arrangement of Krishna, he was going to be punished by his mother. Actually, he was punished. He was tied to this grinding mortar. So Krishna, he knew about this incident with Narada Muni and these demigods. So he pulled this mortar in between the trees, and they fell down, and these demigods came out. And they offered wonderful prayers to Krishna. See, so they were thinking, this is horrible. Trees, 100 years. But then they got the mercy. They got the darshan of Krishna. And Krishna blessed them that they would be pure devotees, right? I think, right? So, although pure devotee curses someone, ultimately it becomes a benediction. So if we take shelter of Krishna, then whatever reversal there may be, there'll be a bright side if we just take shelter of Krishna. Try to see the good. Yeah? Just like with Prabhupada. Prabhupada was in India. He was preaching before he went to the West. And he was preaching, quite a bit, different places, and he got this place, Junxi, right? And he was doing a lot of preaching around there, and it was good. The people were receptive. He made his first disciple there, and there was a plan to create the League of Devotees, right? The League of Devotees. And they had this nice property there, and Prabhupada he was very encouraged. He was inspired by the people around there. But then the governor's wife or something wanted to use it as a women's club. So it was taken away from Prabhupada. And all his plans were foiled. So he was a little frustrated. But then he thought, well, maybe it's time to leave the country. So he took that as a blessing. At first he was thinking, wow, this is terrible. I had such big plans here, and he was thinking this will be the beginning, then we'll do so much more, we'll spread out. So then that was taken, and he was just. But then he took the bright side. Well, let's do what my guru asked me to do years ago. So what he thought was a reversal turned out to be a blessing. And this happens a lot, actually, if we stand back and just try to see how Krishna's, arranging things rather than be attached, then we'll see that wonderful things will happen. You see, we have our plan, and Krishna has his plan. And when Krishna sees our plan, sometimes he just laughs, like, it's a good laugh, So then he gives the better plan. Krishna's plan is always better than our plan. Because we're fallible. And Krishna's, as Prabhupada said, he's infallible. He's infallible. Infallible. Krishna's perfect. So better just accept Krishna's plan. And what is Krishna's plan? What is Krishna's plan when he comes here? His plan is yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. Whenever and wherever there's a predominant rise of irreligion and a decline in religious practice, at that time I descend myself to re-establish religious principles. So therefore he gives us the Bhagavad Gita. And he wants everybody to get a Bhagavad Gita. It wasn't for just India. He wanted everybody to become devotees. And therefore he comes. And he sends his pure devotees, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So many Vaishnavas, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, so many Vaishnavas Krishna sends to inspire us in our Krishna consciousness, to give us guidance. Yeah. So we're very fortunate because we have these great guides, these pure devotees guiding us. We have the Bhagavad Gita guiding us back to Him. So we're very fortunate, but a devotee isn't satisfied with his own good fortune. He wants everybody to be fortunate. And therefore we have this book distribution program so that people can hear about Krishna. They can hear the glories of Krishna. Just like I was just telling you the pastimes of Krishna. What other religious group can explain the pastimes of God, the activities of God? No one. Only in Srimad Bhagvatam. Mahabharata. We have so many nice literatures that describe the activities of Krishna. And why did Krishna come and perform all these activities? To attract us. And his activities are so attractive that they've attracted so many, hundreds of thousands, millions. Whenever I distribute books, or quite often when I distribute books, I show the pictures, and I show them a picture of Krishna. And I ask them, you've heard of Krishna? And 99% of the time, they've heard of Krishna. And I show the picture of Krishna, he's playing the flute. And I tell them, you know, he's very good at the flute. God is a musician. They say, yeah, I know he plays the flute. So many people know about Krishna now. Why? Because of Prabhupada. Priti viti achayata nagaradigram sarvatarpachoy hovi morina. Lord Chaitanya said that my glories will be spread throughout every town and village throughout the world. Not only the glories of Lord Chaitanya, but the glories of Krishna. I'll tell you one nice pastime of Prabhupada in this regard, and then if there's any question. Prabhupada was in Calcutta. You know, he was born and raised in Calcutta, and he became a devotee in Calcutta as well. And he would have meetings with devotees. He would invite devotees to have satsangs, and he would invite sannyasis and devotees. So there's about maybe 8 devotees there, and one devotee quoted this verse that I just quoted. Pritiviti achayata nagaradigram sarvatarpachoya hoy morina. That the glories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Krishna will be spread to every town and village throughout the world. And this devotee just couldn't grasp, how is that possible? I mean, every town and village in the world, I mean, it's in India now, but it's nowhere else. And it's a big planet. There's a lot of cities, there's a lot of towns, a lot of continents, a lot of countries. How is this possible? So he was asking different devotees in that group. And they were saying different things. But then when he got to Abhay, Charanaravinda, that was his initiated name, he said, yes, we have to have firm faith in the scripture, Chaitanya Charitamrita, that this is going to happen. And Prabhupada said this with such conviction that this devotee said, oh, okay. He was most impressed with Prabhupada. So this meeting took place maybe in the 1930s in Calcutta, in Prabhupada's apartment there. Now fast forward, 1971, this same devotee, godbrother of Prabhupada, he's in India and he's in one city and he sees a Western devotee, Caucasian, tilak, Sikha, saffron, dhoti, kurta. He'd never seen this before. So he went up to this devotee and he said, excuse me, where are you from? He said, I'm from America. Oh, you're from America, and you're like this. How did that happen? He said, oh, this is the mercy of my guru. He said, oh, and who is your guru? So he had a book and he showed the picture of Prabhupada. And this person looked at the picture of Prabhupada and he said, Abhay, Babu, you did it. You did it. So Prabhupada did it. And it's still happening. It's still happening. Prabhupada's still making devotees through book distribution. He reasons ill who say that Vaishnavas die while still living in sound. The Vaishnavas die to live, and living spread the holy name around. And not only through the books, Prabhupada is even making devotees through dreams. I'll tell you, want to hear one more story? Prabhupada? I was in Vrindavan last year, and I was staying at one devotee's apartment there, and this devotee, he distributes books at the Krishna Balaram Mandir. That's one of his services. What a great place to distribute books, huh? I mean, wow. For every service you do, it multiplies 1,000 times. So if you want to get some special mercy, distribute books at the Krishna Balaram Mandir. I've done it, it's good. Sometimes when you're distributing books, they have excuses. No, I don't have time, or I don't read. Or so when I was distributing books at the Krishna Balaram Mandir, they said, okay, let me just get darshan of Krishna Balaram first, and then I'll get a book. And I said, what can you say to that, right? Okay. No. You can't counter that, all right, I'll wait. Yeah. So this devotee was distributing books there, and he saw one lady, and he approached her and presented the books to her. And it turns out she was from South America, Colombia. And he said, well, after talking to her, he could see that she didn't know much about Krishna consciousness at all. So he asked her, why are you here in Vrindavan? And she said, well, you won't believe it. Just a few months ago, I had this terrible disease in Colombia, and the doctors didn't know what to do. And I was suffering, and I didn't know what was going to happen. So one night, this person came to my dreams, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. And he told me, don't worry, everything will be okay. My name is A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. And the next morning, she had such a vivid memory of that dream and the name that she went on the internet and she put in A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. And ISKCON came up. So she thought, well, what is this? And just shortly after that, her disease started to go down, and eventually she became healthy. And then she was looking in the different centers of ISKCON, and she found out that Krishna was born in Vrindavan, so I should go to Vrindavan. So she went to Vrindavan, and she met that devotee there, and she bought all the books that he had. And he gave her japa beads, so now she's a devotee. Prabhupada came to her in a dream and made her a devotee. Pretty amazing, huh? So, and there's so many, actually, I don't know, there's time. There's so many instances of Prabhupada going to people's dreams, and they're becoming devotees. Okay, on that, is there any? Huh? Yeah, one more. You want to hear one more story? All right, one more story. One devotee, Ganapati Maharaj. He's an unsung hero. He's been distributing books at universities for 40 years, and practically nobody knows him. He just very quietly distributes books. Doesn't get a big name for himself. Doesn't go to you don't see him traveling around, just distributing Prabhupada's books. So one man came to his table, and he said, "This is Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, I've been looking for Bhagavad Gita. Now, who is this by?" And Ganapati Maharaj, he turned it around and showed the picture of Prabhupada, and he said, "This is by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada." And the man said, "Yes, this is the one I want. This man has been coming to me in my dreams for years, and he's been telling me to buy my Bhagavad Gita. And I've seen so many Bhagavad Gitas, but I haven't seen the one with this picture. I've seen this man in my dreams." So of course he bought the Bhagavad Gita. I don't know if he became a devotee, but with something like that, he probably did. So okay, it's a little late. Any question or comment or correction? Yes.
In terms of how you take Krishna's, what happens to life as Krishna's mercy, when you're trying to cultivate devotees, how do you, if they come back with suggestions or something like that, how do you assess whether it's good or bad, and how Krishna's stance is in that? How do I make a decision, yes or no, whether it's good to take it over or reject it, or how do I make a decision?
Yes, when we're cultivating people, it's very important that we have good sadhana so that we can give them the proper answer. If we don't have good sadhana, it's going to be hard to guide them. properly, right? So Krishna also, when someone approaches you, some person you're cultivating, and they have some question, or they've been through some reversal or something, and they're asking you, well, how should I deal with this? You got to be Krishna conscious, so that Krishna gives you the proper direction for this person, right? So sadhana is very important in all different aspects of our devotional service, in distributing books, or preaching, or cultivating people, or pujariya service. Everything we're doing, we have to have very good sadhana, so it's done nicely, so that Krishna is pleased by our service. And if we don't have that, it will be very shallow. There won't be devotion there. So it'll be difficult to say the right thing, to do the right thing. And this is just the mode of goodness. Krishna says that mode of goodness means knowing what to do, what not to do. What to be feared, what's not to be feared. What's liberating, what's binding. That's just the mode of goodness. What to say, what not to say. But we're trying to even go a little higher, and be Krishna conscious. So sadhana is very important. Okay. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.